this is my problem, and I assume you're here to watch me fix it. I know how ridiculous this is and how bad this seems. But here is everything from my yarn stash that came out of the craft room. Yike. And like I said, this is just the stuff out of the craft room. So I think I need to go on a little trip around my house and pull everything else. Okay, here's the damage. This is my entire yarn stash. It is my full intention to go through the whole thing and not only make it look nice in my new and improved reorganized craft room, but also inventory all of it and go through the process of adding it to Ravelry so I can actually start to use Ravelry's full functionality, which is something I've never been able to do because I came into it when I already had a lot of this. So today I'm gonna get started just sorting it into, I think I'm gonna sort it by yarn weight. And I've got a lot of paper bags. I'm gonna sort it by yarn weight. And as I go, I'm going to take pictures of the full quantity I have of any given colorway so that later at my desk, it will be easier to put it into Ravelry. And hopefully this is going to go so smooth and not be a giant mountain of work like I've been dreading it would be. So, cheers. I'll see you on the other side. Well, I should have known this would happen. My yarn stash has a new resident. So here I have my fully sorted, kind of organized, partially inventoried selection of worsted weight only. This is only the category 4 size yarns that I have. The rest of it is all separate. So it turned out that about half of my stash was worsted, which I guess shouldn't be a surprise, but I was a little surprised by that. I thought I liked other categories more. So now that I have everything all set up, I'm gonna be able to start putting it in my digital inventory in Ravelry, but also start actually putting it away in my craft room in a way that's, usable and accessible and pretty, because that's really what I want out of this. So I'm gonna get started with that. Not today, but for you it'll be pretty quick because editing, Okay, so I'm about to get started. I'm going to start putting all my yarn up here. Got a lot of little boxes and baskets ready as I need to sort it. But for now, let's just dig in. Here's the Ravelry homepage. I've been working pretty hard lately on getting all of my yarn inventory uploaded to my digital stash. To me, the most obvious organized way to go about this was as I was physically organizing and sorting the yarns I had so that I could sort them in my new craft room, I was also pulling each one and taking pictures of it so that I could digitally sort it later. So I laid out each group I had, like the whole quantity of one colorway, so that it would be very easy for me to count the amount of skeins I had from the photo. And then I would also take a second photo of a close-up of the colorway information on the label. It's taken me so far, I would say, probably about 6 hours to digitally upload these, and it's a pretty quick process. I just actually had a lot of yarn. I think I ended up with near 500 pictures, and like I said, I took 2 pictures of each colorway. So I have a lot. So far, this is my stash. So I really love the function of having the picture there. I think it's really helpful to me, and I love that Ravelry does this little thing where you can see the yardage in the thumbnail. It's really useful. So got a lot here. Got most of it done, but I did save a couple more so that I could do it on here and kind of demonstrate what the process is. So in my Google Photos, I've got the last couple yarns that I haven't added yet. I'm going to start with this one. I have 3 skeins of this hand-dyed Heaven, and it looks like it's in the colorway Sour Cherry. So I'm going to come back over here, quick search, and click on the yarn result that comes up. And this is the right one from Lion Brand. So I hit add to stash and I look for my colorway in the list. And this one was called Sour Cherry, and I had 3 skeins. So after I click stash this yarn, it's created a page in my stash of what I have, and I want to add a photo. I've already got it connected to my Google Photos, so I can see right here the photo that I was using for reference. Upload that. Perfect. Now I can see this particular yarn in my stash. And I know that I have another one of those because the next one is this single skein I have of hand-dyed Heaven again in the colorway Jawbreaker. So I'm going to go back to this page, even though this is the one on my page and not the search results. If you click on the yarn base itself, this option, it'll take you back to the page for the yarn, and it says one in stash because of the one I just added, but you can click there again to add another colorway. So I'm going to find Jawbreaker and add my one stash, and again add a photo. And then I did have one more because even though, you know, I'm going through my giant yarn stash and feeling a little embarrassed about how much yarn I have, and very publicly displaying how much yarn I have, it's possible that Alexandria Tavel announced on her Instagram page that there was a little 2 of Wands, You and Me, Lion Brand cotton project bag that came for free if you bought any kit from lionbrand.com, which is like, do I need the yarn? No. Do I need the project bag? Yes, it's so cute. So I bought the smallest possible kit in the smallest possible size, not actually intending to use that pattern for that yarn, but literally just to get the project bag. So I do have 3 skeins of Artichoke, and I love You and Me. I'll use it. I know I'll use it. It's fine. I'm already using the project bag, for the record, so I was right. So there we go. Those are all in my stash now. And because it knows all the information about the yarn from the company's yarn page, it has all of the yardage for you, and all you have to do is add how many skeins you have. So I'm back here in my Ravelry stash because I found another cool feature that I wanted to talk about. I'm a very logistics, data-oriented person. I love being able to organize something in a data set and manipulate that information to create a better understanding of something. And you can do that in Ravelry.
I recently found this export button, which generates a spreadsheet for you to download with all of the information about your yarn stash based on what quantities you said you had, but also based on the product page that Ravelry starts with. So I downloaded this a little while back, and I've been adding to it and manipulating it a little bit. But I've got this really cool spreadsheet that shows all of my stash. It's neat to be able to manipulate the data in this format and to be able to see my yarn stash as a concise data set like this. So I thought I would show you because there's some kind of cool statistics here. First of all, you can see how many skeins you entered. So I entered 622.85 skeins. This isn't the full amount I have, but that's kind of the full amount of full ones I have. You can see sometimes I entered partial skeins if I didn't have a full one, but I didn't enter a lot of the kind of scraps or partial ones that I didn't know what they were, that I either inherited or got secondhand. And still, this is the bulk of my yarn stash, and it's about 625 skeins. I think that's pretty neat. Those total nearly 83 miles of yarn, or 133 kilometers, which is a funny way to think about it, but you know, I don't think that's outrageous. But the idea that I had to kind of expand on this that I thought was really cool was to add a column for the cost of it. Now, this isn't exactly what I paid, certainly not for most of them what I paid, but this is the retail price that they're listed for, full price, on most of them. If I couldn't find one because it's no longer in production, I kind of estimated based on that company's similar products. So I entered them all here, and then I have another column for my total based on the quantity that I have. And all in all, the estimated retail value of my yarn stash is $5,902.97. It sounds so silly when you put it that way, like it's not that much. I mean, it is that much, but I certainly didn't pay that much. Most of my yarn stash is Lion Brand, as you can see over here. I am a sucker for sales at Lion Brand and at Joann, and I've ended up with huge quantities of it over the years, and I've almost never paid full price for Lion Brand, so that's a big part of it. And also, Knit Crate yarns, the retail price on those is much higher than you actually pay if you get the subscription box, or like me, if you shop in their Double Down sales or the other sales that they have in between subscription boxes. So I certainly didn't pay $6,000, but technically I have invested $6,000 in my fiber future, so to speak. So I think that's a really neat statistic, and it's cool to be able to kind of get these totals and get this greater understanding of the yarn stash that I've created.
So now my room is really actually done. It's so perfect. Honestly, I just love it. I could just look at this all day. And honestly, sometimes I do. I love to come in here and sit in my chair and just stare at my yarn, which I think is totally normal. It's so cozy and warm and organized, and it's exactly what I wanted it to be. I really love it in here, and I'm so glad to finally have wrapped up the entire project of the craft room, have all my yarn sorted, and have my Ravelry page in order so that I have access to that information wherever I am. So I've separated them all out by yarn weight. I've got the smallest weights over here, fingering for most of this column, but I did separate out mohair to be on its own. I feel like yarn companies don't know what to do with mohair. Some of them say it's fingering because it's so thin. Some of them call it bulky because it's got such a big halo on it. And I kind of think it's a category of its own. So I have mohair and synthetic mohair in the top corner, and then fingering weight for a while. I don't have much sport weight actually. This little basket here is all I have of sport weight, and the one next to it. So they're in there together. I thought it was an opportunity to create a little bit of visual interest. Beneath that starts DK, and it goes on from there. I've got DK and worsted mostly here. I did put most of my acrylic worsted over here. Or this one is also different types of worsted, but it's all of my large quantities of either Low Tide or Summer Kiss from Lion Brand, all of which I got super cheap at Christmas tree shops a couple years ago. And I do use them, and I have been slowly working through the stash of those that I have, but I thought that they're best separate over here. Because I have so much worsted, it doesn't all fit in these cubes. But I do think it turned out all right over here. I like having the kind of sort of rainbow up there and then all the neutrals separately. So here, after worsted, I've got bulky along the bottom, and then it goes into super bulky and ultra bulky. What do they call that? Jumbo. So they're super bulky and jumbo on the end. So I did use the bottom bins under every single one. They just have like the miscellaneous ones or the partial skeins or the ones that were rolled up by hand and don't look as nice anymore. And sometimes it's just got overflow of other stuff that's already displayed up here. The bins, I was able to stabilize along the front. I have a paint stir stick in each one to make it a little sturdier, and they're certainly a lot less smooshy than they were, but it has not stopped my cats. They have figured out that this bin in particular doesn't have a lot of yarn in it, and they just push the whole thing down, and virtually every day I come in and I find it in this state, and often there's a cat in there at that time. Doesn't stop me from tidying up and trying to fix it every time, but they're not stopping anytime soon. So I'm super, super happy with it. I'm so glad to have everything in a nice, pretty state so that I have my craft room. And from here, I can move on and start doing some of the bigger projects that I've been gearing up to do just in time for summer. I've got some travel coming up this summer, so I'm getting ready to cast on a few projects to take on the road with me. And after that, I've got a whole bunch of ideas for videos coming up for the rest of the year. So stick around, please subscribe if you like what I've done here, and give it a like. Honestly, I like it, so maybe you should too. Thanks. I'll see you next time. What are you doing? Audriana. She was checking to go in the bin.